Hey there boys and girls, Lucky here and welcome back to another Counter-Strike Global Offensive video. Today we will be talking about how to improve your pre-aiming and crosshair placement in Counter-Strike Global Offensive. So I'd say, let's get right into it. Alright, so why does crosshair placement matter? Many people know they should use proper crosshair placement, but sometimes they don't really know why they should do it. And a simple answer is, it's just more effective and actually also faster. Let's say you want to check connector, if anyone's there. So you move around like this, for example, and you see, oh whoa, there's an enemy. So you have to flick this distance all the way over here to this guy in order to hit him. Which of course takes more time because you actually have to move your arm across, or your hand, depending also on your sense. This might be a longer way than for some others. Now, if you pre-aim properly, so proper height, and you stay to the corner, and you always like imagine there might be a target back here, you're already on his head. And like that, you only have to do micro adjustments. So just like tiny movements like this, which is a lot easier and faster, and that's essentially why crosshair placement is so good. So this is actually also called active aiming versus reactive aiming. So if you aim like this, crosshair placement, this is active aiming, you're just kind of slicing the pie, circling around the corner, boom, headshot, he's dead. If it's reactive aiming, you would just walk around, see, and then you would have to flick over here, which is of course a lot harder and less reliable. That is why crosshair placement is important. Alrighty, so now let's give you guys a couple of more infos about how crosshair placement actually works. Now obviously you have horizontal aim like this and vertical aim. One of them is actually responsible for getting the headshot level, headshot height, and the other one is actually responsible for being on target in time. Now if you only use either of them, because many people usually only tell you to go for the headshot, so only talking about vertical aim, but then we have the same problem as before. So you walk around, you are at headshot height, you see, but you still have to move across here. So this is a long way to aim it. That doesn't make sense. You wanna stay close and go around like this. Then again, if you only use your horizontal aiming properly and you're aiming at the floor, you're on the target. You see, you're circling around the corner and you see him first. However, you have to move up and aim up. And again, this doesn't really work all that well. So only if you use both of them combined, you'll get the full benefit of maximum damage of the vertical aiming headshot height, as well as the horizontal aiming and being on target on time first of all. Now a quick side note about AWPs and SMGs, they don't work quite the same as rifles do right here. So since the AWP takes some time to scope in and be accurate like this until the scope, the crosshair is no longer blurry, you actually have time when you're walking around like that to actually aim, because it takes a little bit of time to be accurate. This does not necessarily mean you should walk around like this, but you could do it technically to maximize your field of view, see as much as possible if you would have like to watch two angles, because there's time to aim. You have time to aim with the AWP, which you do not have with a rifle. Also, if you're using SMGs, you maybe just sometimes want to just run around, spray and pray. Also for center of mass, same as with the AWP. Don't go for headshots, really don't. You want to go for center of mass, especially if they're crouching down and you stay aiming at their stomach, you will still hit them, so they cannot avoid that like that. So that's kind of just a quick side note that AWPs and SMGs don't work quite the same as rifles or even pistols do. Alright, so now let's talk about another thing that's also very important for crosshair placement, and those are actual physical limitations of your desk space and your arm. So this might sound weird, but it's also important and another reason why crosshair placement can help you to get better at the game. So when you're moving around or looking around, you got your hand for fine aiming like this, kind of that's the range of motion of your hand for my sensitivity, and you got your arm right here to look around, like huge swivels. That's not like precise aiming, this is precise aiming and this is kind of looking around. So you got 2 points, you got your hand and you got your arm for doing that. That's for horizontal aim. That's why horizontal aim is usually easier for us, because we can just move it freely like so. You got kind of 2 swivel points. However, vertical aim, unless you're a fingertip user, which gives you a little bit more like range of motion in this direction, you only can kind of push your arm back and forth a little bit, and that is not a lot. And if you push it more, like so, you usually won't be as accurate anymore. Now the thing is, you always also have to compensate for the spray pattern like so, meaning you already have to pull down or drag down more than just going straight for a headshot, especially if you miss the first headshot and you gotta commit to a spray or something like that. That's something you have to keep in mind. So the thing about that is, always make sure to adjust for the vertical aiming, so the headshot height first, because you got less range of motion to play with. And I mean, for example, on Mirage right here, it's not that big of a deal, because you only have to aim down like slopes right here, or up into palace, there's not a lot of range of motion into like vertical aiming parts going on. However, for example on Nuke, this is a whole different story. So make sure to actually adjust it first, otherwise you just won't be able to properly compensate and you have to readjust your arm or something like that. And again, this takes time, and during that time you can't aim, you can't shoot, and people usually will kill you. Alright, now for some actual tips to improve your crosshair placement. You want to kind of orientate your crosshair at the headshot height of your friendlies, because your point of view player camera is in the head, and this head also has the same POV camera of all other player models. So this means once you aim at kind of one player model and they're at the same height, kind of the same elevation or plane, you don't have to use your mouse at all, you just can strafe over and it's gonna be a headshot. Same for this dude, like, I mean he's a little higher right here, but still kind of works. So moving over, I'm at his head, I'm at his head, I'm at his head right here. You don't have to use it at all. So this is a big tip. Now another tip that you can actually use is kind of use boxes or double boxes as reference. So you see this dude right here, a box height, a big box is usually kind of the height of a player. Double box, usually half of that. Again right here also kind of you aim right here, move over, you go for a straight headshot. Because all the props are kind of like the objects in CS, they're made in a way that if they're really tall like that, they're usually twice the height of a player model, and if they're smaller so you can look over them or they're about your size, they're usually the size of a player model. So use these ones as reference, for example like right here, if we place down a bot I'd say, like so. You can see if we use this box as reference, we can just move over, counter strafe, and we're on his head. So this is a big tip if you want to actually improve your vertical crosshair placement. Now for your horizontal aiming, for example, let's say you have a piece of cover that people might be hiding behind. You kind of want to keep your crosshair close to that, because that's usually where they will be peeking from. And if you kind of go around like this is usually where you will find the enemies then. Now you don't have to completely line it up with your piece of cover. You can give yourself a little bit of space in order to kind of consider your own reaction time, depending on, well, how good that is. Because you could just set it on here, but this again will result in like micro adjustments to actually go for the shot. So staying kind of in front of it will actually help you to again minimize the actual movement of your hand. You can just go for a straight shot, and again will usually give you the kill faster. Now another thing is, you don't have to swivel around like this. That's something you can do, but it's not very effective, because this again is reactive aiming. You're swiveling around and you're waiting for something to appear. You want to kind of go more like stutter stepping or like counter strafing, so like a little bit like a section at a time, and always be prepared, oh, something there, something here, and just kind of go around like this. This will actually help you more in the long run. Now another tip I have for you guys is crosshair placement and close peeking. In this kind of scenario, you don't again want to swivel around. Even just like counter strafing and stutter stepping like this might not be enough. In those kind of scenarios where you're close to cover, you could jiggle peek like so to bait a shot, and hopefully he will take the bait and fire, and hence again has to wait for his spread to reset. However, if you want to peek this guy, you want to imagine where he is. Like you want to prepare your aim, so you only have to move out and go for a straight shot, kind of like this, like this, like this, like this. You want to set it up again, use this as reference, use this as reference, and kind of aim through the object. Kind of imagine where the target is going to be. This will help you, because like this, you actually want a close peek, like so. Otherwise, everything else will just expose yourself too soon without being able to set your crosshair placement up properly. Now, bonus tip. This only works if you have a friendly teammate with you. But most of the time, your enemies will also make use of proper crosshair placement. So they'll wait for you right here to appear and actually go for a kill. Now what you can do is, instead of peeking and shooting and actually running into the crosshair, you can try to run through it with a wide peek, and then you have a friendly like right here, actually an enemy, or a friendly like right here, that will close peek with you. Now from the other perspective, he's trying to follow you, then there's another guy right here starting to shoot at him, and you're shooting at him as well. So you either has to decide, do I go for this guy? Do I go for this guy? Is he just going to convert straight into a spray and try to hit something? Either way, it is going to throw off his aim. It will also increase your chances of surviving. So combining a wide peek with a close peek can be useful. Can be. Another thing that can be useful is actually going for crouch peeks. So if you like right here and you're crouching down to avoid the headshot. This works, however, only at higher levels of CS. If you're at lower ranks or lower levels of play, people usually don't aim properly at their head. They're like aiming at center of mass. So if you're crouching down, then you're just like ducking yourself straight into a headshot, and you get like, you're gifting them essentially a free headshot, which is not what you want to do. So once you know people are actually going for headshots, you can crouch peek like so. However, this can be done, and I say can because it is risky. Once you crouch down, you're out in the open, you're killing your whole momentum, you're very slow then, and you're just kind of committing a lot to that. So make sure that you actually want to do this and it's a good idea before going for a crouch peek like so. Now, we talked about why crosshair placement is important, we talked about how it is done, why you should use it, and how to improve it. Now we can give you guys a couple of more tips for your training sessions that you can incorporate in order to get even better with that and even more consistent. Now, first of all, pre-fire maps. You can get those from the workshop. They are just setting up a couple of bots in certain spots. This will help you to actually get to know the places where people usually are holding from. This will help you to clear one angle at a time, not expose yourself to too many angles, be safer, and actually know where to aim. So this kind of pushes your game sense a little bit. At least for standard plays and early round plays. Now for late game or late round plays, you usually have a bomb defusal situation. For that, I can recommend you guys retake servers. Again, go to the community browser and look it up. It's essentially just putting you into either a CT or T situation where the bomb has been planted. Very helpful for late game plays. Now, for everything else, like CS can sometimes be weird. They're like rotating, fakes, whatever and whatnot. You want to just use simple deathmatch, although I prefer freefall deathmatch, and again that can be found in the community server browser, because you will find gunfights and engagements in situations where you usually would not find any in normal plays in CS. This again will help you to get better crosshair placement even in those weird situations, to be always prepared to look for enemies. Once again, don't autopilot, use active aiming, not reactive aiming, but I think that's pretty much all for now. I hope you enjoyed the video, and luckySkillFaker out.